Hey everybody, I'm Andrew of the Movie Buff Pains, here today with another episode of Andrew's Animation. So today I wanted to do another entry in my Obscurities of Animation series. I really enjoy looking for movies that just do not see the light of day nearly as much as, a lot of the mainstream stuff. And I think I have a few good ones for you today, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. The first one I want to talk about is a film called Ethel and Ernest. This one was a very interesting film. I heard about it just on various websites, citing it as a very good animated film, having a very good story, and of course that intrigued me, especially since I had a hard time finding it. But I finally got lucky and was able to watch it. Ethel and Ernest is a bit different, honestly, in tone, just because it's a far more dramatic piece. You don't get a lot of straight dramas being in animation. Animation is always a lot more lighthearted in tone for the most part. You have exceptions, of course, but overall I think we can agree that animation is usually a lot more family-friendly and light. So having a full-fledged drama here in front of me was rather interesting. It was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. Ethel and Ernest follows a couple from when they first meet when they're young, all the way up into their elderly years. And it is a great film, honestly. I couldn't look away from the screen while I watched it. Again, heartwarming and heartbreaking. This is a couple that is young in the years following World War I and has to grow up and deal with World War II, and they have to deal with just all the varying stresses that Britain went through during the following decades. And it was really something to watch, honestly. I really enjoyed it, and there were points where I honestly really felt for the characters. I was just so emotionally invested in this couple as I watched them, and that really speaks to the storytelling and the writing of this film, because the fact that I was so drawn in on these characters really made me realize just how good of a film it is. Overall, this is definitely a 4-star film, possibly even 4.5. I really enjoyed it. And so if you ever get the chance to watch this film, definitely take it. Again, it is just really good storytelling, really good characters, and it is just one you really get drawn into, following the lives of these two people as they grow together. The next one I want to talk about is a Netflix film. And Netflix has really been diving into the world of animation in feature films, especially recently. They've been doing TV shows and stuff for kids for quite a while now. They've had DreamWorks properties and stuff like that they've been exploiting to no end. But they've been a little short on more original stuff, or just acquiring original pieces to add to their exclusive library. And there have been a number of them in the recent years. I think the most notable one that's been talked about lately has been Over the Moon, and that one's actually got some award buzz around it. I've seen that one. It's a great film. It really is. But we also have to pay attention to some of the other animation that Netflix has in its wheelhouse. And so that's why my next one I want to talk about is called Animal Crackers. I heard about this film for the first time back in 2017. That's when it started premiering at the film festivals. And that's crazy to think about, that it was around, 3+ years ago. It had its premiere at a few festivals. It got a release in China, and yet it had no activity anywhere else in the world. And then all of a sudden in 2020, Netflix picked it up and threw it out on their service to everyone. And I didn't even know about that until just recently, because, again, 2017, I thought that somehow it had been shelved and just was never going to see the light of day, which was really unfortunate. And then I discovered that Netflix had it, which made me very happy to finally be able to see this movie. Animal Crackers follows a man and his family. The man grew up around his uncle's circus, and then as he grew up, he walked away from it because he wanted to provide for his family and, be what would be considered a normal person. But of course, when his uncle leaves him the circus, That all changes, especially when his uncle also leaves him a box of old animal crackers, which he soon discovers have magical properties and hold the secret to his uncle's success with the circus. And what would the average animated film be without a villain of some sort? And that takes shape in the man's other uncle, who very much wants the crackers and the circus for his own. What surprised me right off the bat with this movie was the voice cast. It actually was pretty top notch, which makes it surprising to me that this didn't get released sooner, either independently or by another company. We're talking the likes of John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Danny DeVito, Ian McKellen. It's a great cast of characters and great voices to back them up. The story was sweet, simple, and really endearing. It was really fun to watch. I was surprised at how much fun I had watching it. A lot of the stuff that Netflix acquires usually gets kind of put on the back burner because they're very below average entries. There are exceptions, like Over the Moon and Animal Crackers. If you haven't seen this one, go on Netflix and watch it. It is really enjoyable. You'll love it, kids will love it. It's great all around. It's so enjoyable. And I definitely give that one also 4 out of 5 stars because it is just a fun film, and it's really nice to see something outside the purview of Disney and DreamWorks and whatnot. To have something from a smaller company like this, even though Netflix is the one backing it up, it's still very much a piece of independent animation, and I can't help but appreciate that. The last one I want to talk about with you guys is probably, in reality, one of the most obscure ones I've handled yet. A lot of the movies I feature here are either on streaming or they have physical Blu-rays or DVDs, and they're somewhat accessible. I usually try to make sure of that because I want you guys to go and watch these films as well, and if they're available, then makes it a lot easier for you. This one, however, is a bit of a special situation. The film is called Mowgli. It doesn't have an American release, and in fact it has next to no physical releases except for 1 or 2 foreign copies on DVD, and it also doesn't seem to be anywhere on the subscription services, at least in the US. I don't know what the situation is internationally, but here it's kind of hard to find. But that's when YouTube came to the rescue, because it is on there. So I got very lucky with that. Mowgli had me hooked from the beginning. And I'm not talking about the movie yet even. I'm talking about simply the word of mouth. I saw a banner ad for this, one of those for your consideration ads on a website. And I went, what is this movie? I had no idea. I'd never heard of it, and that made me so interested. And so, of course, I started to do my research. Mowgli is the passion project of Kirby Atkins. He wrote the story, he directed the film. It's an amazing creation overall. He spent 20 years developing this film. That is such a commitment, but that also shows his passion for this particular story. And that just amazed me even more going into the movie. Right off the bat, the animation in Mowgli is nearly on par with Disney and DreamWorks. That should say something to you. This is a completely independent film that has not seen the light of day in America, and they have animation that rivals Disney and DreamWorks in my personal opinion. It is astonishing. There's detail, expression, and just great backgrounds as well, which is such an important thing, especially in animation nowadays. Those backgrounds really draw you in and make you part of the world. After the animation, the story is what got me. We follow a family of creatures called Thorophants, and they are creatures that have the ability to speak. They have cognitive functions, and yet they are enslaved as beasts of burden. And that is such a topic to tackle. It really makes you sit there and watch as Mowgli, the lead character, who has been a slave all his life, comes to terms with the fact that there is something else out there for him and his family, and that he needs to take the chance and go and find it. It is such a great story. I wanted more of it, honestly. That was my only gripe with this movie, as far as I can tell, was that I wanted more. There was so many layers that I felt could have been explored with the characters and the world building, and I want more. I hope maybe one day Kirby Atkins will continue the story in some form or another, because I was really intrigued by it. It was simplistic at points, but that was part of the charm, because in the simplicity you could see the layers of conflict and emotion that were underlying everything. It was really something. And I just loved it to death. I loved it so much that I had to watch it again like 3 days after I initially watched it, because I couldn't get it out of my mind. It was that good to me, and definitely worth a watch. Go on YouTube, find it, and watch it. It is amazing. Or if you somehow, if you have it on a streaming service in your country, watch it there. Just find it and watch it. It is well worth it. This movie deserves to be in the spotlight a lot more than it has been in its lifetime, and it is definitely one that needs to be checked out. Of the 3 films I've laid out today, that is the one I would push on you the most. I'm always going to be a little nitpicky and say there's something with it that doesn't make it deserving of 5 stars, but yeah, this one is definitely a 4, possibly even 4.5. It is just such an enjoyable movie, and the themes it touches on are a much more serious tone than we get in most anything put out by Disney or DreamWorks or the other major studios. And that's what I really enjoyed about it as well. The story is amazing. The love and care put into this particular movie can be seen in every shot, every character's expression, just every aspect of it. So Kirby Atkins, you did an amazing job. This is the kind of film I want to see more of in animation, and we're not getting it. You need to be at the forefront of making animated films, honestly, because your work is phenomenal. Just don't take another 20 years to make more of it, please. But those are the entries I have for this episode of the Obscurities of Animation. I sure hope I intrigued you guys with the titles I talked about, and I really hope you'll go out and find them and watch them. I think they're all deserving of being watched, very much so, and I myself can't wait to go back and watch them all again. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to making more of this particular series in the near future, along with some other additions of collections and my top picks from 2020 and the like, and I'm looking very much forward to giving more of that to you guys soon. So thank you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one.